Today we are going to discuss some gross and unsettling book covers that either give me the ick or are very scary. Hello everyone, I'm Bookbird, and let's discuss some book covers that either deter me from reading a book or that I'm gonna have to pick up the ebook so that I don't have to stare at. And I'm gonna kick it off with the book that inspired this video, and that would be Half His Age by Jeanette McCurdy. On first glance, you see that she has a finger in her mouth, which is automatically kind of gross, but then you look closer at her fingers and that gives me more of like an ick feeling. I already knew based on the summary that this wouldn't be a book for me because it's a teacher-student relationship, and I know it's like a commentary on like grooming and that sort of thing, but among a bunch of the other words used to describe this book, it just doesn't seem like a book that I'm going to enjoy. And the cover just like makes me cringe a little bit. I can't explain exactly why. It just gives me that feeling of not wanting to look at it whenever I see it. So we're gonna break these up from now on. It's gonna be gross, unsettling, and scary. So a lot of these next ones are gonna be mainly horror books because I think the purpose of these covers are to unsettle or scare you, or they're gonna entice you by how they look. If they look scary enough or interesting enough as a horror book in the horror section and they catch your eye for that reason, they did their job. But in my case, I don't read a lot of horror anyway, and these covers would draw my eye, but not in a good way. Let's go ahead and continue with the gross section. And the first one, the top one in the gross section for me, is Meat Bees by Dane Erbach. This is a new release coming out this year in August, so that's why I've seen this cover kind of populated around BookTube. It's gonna deter me from picking this one up, or if I do pick this one up, it's gonna be on ebook. It's basically about man devouring wasps. I already don't like wasps, and it's not even summertime yet. I already have a fear of a wasp stinging me, so I couldn't imagine them biting me and trying to eat me too. So this cover has me turned away from this idea, but it's a good premise for a book. It definitely would scare me. This is the top gross book cover for this section. And the next grossest book cover, I think it's pronounced Mayfly by CJ Leeds. This one I think it's the teeth and just all-encompassing, like gross eyeball and the mouth licking it. Based on the synopsis, it seems to be like a slasher horror. It mentions American Psycho, so based on this cover, I don't know if she turns into a cannibal and kills and eats people or what happens, but based on this cover, that's what I can conclude. And this also would probably be one that's not for me, but the cover definitely sticks out and is gross to me. The final book in this gross category is The Eyes Are the Best Part. This is by Monica Kim, and I think this one is mostly because of the eyeball being in between the chopsticks, and you obviously know that means they're eating the eyeball, whoever is holding those chopsticks. It's about the making of a female serial killer. I thought maybe in 2024 I would have picked this one up, but then after people started reading it and saying the content that was in it, it was more and more not in my reading taste. So in this case, the cover did signal to me that this wouldn't be a book on my TBR. Now getting into the unsettling section. These books just kind of unnerve me, or there's some other reason that these covers just bother me, and they also need more explanation to why they bother me. So I'm gonna start with one that I think 90s kids will understand, but I'm gonna specifically mention Animorphs 10. Spider Kid, full disclosure, my brother had this series on his bookshelf growing up, and I would just take these books off his shelf and look at the transformation of each of the kids. Like, that was the fun part for me. He didn't really have any of the really unsettling kind, but as any 90s kid knows, these were always really strange book covers, and there were a couple others that I could have shown. So if you haven't seen all the Animorphs book covers, I suggest you go look at them and find the one that is the most unsettling to you. But for me, it was this 10th book with the Spider Kid. So from what I understand, based on the summary of this book and based on what the rest of the series kind of says, seems like it's an alien human sci-fi where these kids get to transform. If you have read the Animorphs, let me know like a basic synopsis of this series, because like I said, I didn't have them on my shelf as a kid. My brother did. I don't even know how many of them he actually read, so it would be interesting to hear what these books are actually about, because their covers are so weird. And the next two are very similar in how they unsettle me and the depiction on the covers. So first, that would be What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, and then also Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. Both very different stories being told, but they have that same dead animals rabbit on the cover. T. Kingfisher's cover at least has a more artistic rendition and like way of making it unsettling, between like the animals like wrapping around and inside each other. I have yet to read the T. Kingfisher, but I do own it on ebook. Like I said, I could own these on ebook. I know T. Kingfisher has continued on this series based on Edgar Allan Poe's The House of Usher, and she's continued. Now there's 2 more books, 2 more novellas out, and I don't think those are unsettling as this first one, so I didn't put the entire series up. And Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo has a dead, drowned rabbit on the front. I know this is a second book in her series, the series that starts with Ninth House, and Ninth House has a snake on the cover, but this one got a dead rabbit. As an animal lover, I don't really want dead animals on my covers, and that's why both of these are very unsettling to me. And this last book in the unsettling category won't quite make sense until I explain it, but that's House at the Bottom of the Lake by Josh Malerman. and you'll recognize his name from Bird Box. This one makes me feel unsettled because I have this fear of being this deep in the water and not being like scuba diving and just having to hold my breath and try to get back to the surface. And also like any thinking about like you're driving your car and it goes off into a river or a lake or ocean, like that terrifies me. But everything I described about why this cover scares me is not the synopsis in any way for the book. The book says there's something strange that these teenagers find under the lake, at the bottom of the lake. So this is actually on my want to read shelf. I think I would get it on ebook or on Libby ebook or something instead of having to stare at it and have a fear response every time I stare at it. So this book actually sounds interesting to me to pick up eventually, but the cover scares me. That is why I added A House at the Bottom of a Lake here in this list, because it does kind of cross over into the next section, which is scary covers. But the scary books on this list are Pride and Prejudice and Zombies by Seth Graham Smith. This one I've seen around a lot because it was out when I was in high school. It seems to be just a reimagining of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen and mixing in those horror elements of zombies into that story. But this has been around for a while, and I probably won't pick it up now, even though I've read Pride and Prejudice for the first time last year. I don't know if I'll pick this up. The way you can see her neck vertebrae bothers me the most. If you have read this, let me know if it's worth reading or not. But now let's get to the final book of this list, and that would be It by Stephen King. Specifically the mass market paperback cover of this creepy clown. Not that I planned on reading this book in the first place, even if it had the just plain It title. This one is probably the most scary of all of the covers, and definitely even more tells me I wouldn't want to pick up this book. Those were 9 books that I thought had gross, unsettling, or very scary covers. If you have any books that unsettle you or you think are really creepy or gross or scary, please leave those in the comments. Or if any of these books you think I should pick up and read and the covers don't justify how good the book actually is, let me know that also in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed going through this list with me. And as always, so I can see everyone in the next video, please hit that subscribe button. And if you'd like to check out more videos from me, YouTube thinks these videos are ones that you'd enjoy watching. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching.